Good evening, dear professor and my groupmates. I'm going to present you my speaking assignment 1, which is work-in-progress presentation. The first, I want to introduce you the agenda of my presentation. I will start talking about the thesis overview. Then I will talk about my accomplishments that I have achieved by this period of time. And finally, I will end up talking about the challenges that I have faced with. So the first thing is connected with my thesis that I'm going to write this year. So the research that I'm going to conduct is going to be about the students' level of emotional intelligence and its effects on teacher-student relationships in one Nazarbayev Intellectual School in Kazakhstan. So to be honest, I have been interested in teacher-student relationships for a long time. I have been curious what benefits do teacher-student relationships have, and what influences its quality. So when I was writing my proposal for research methods last year, I also found out that the students' level of emotional intelligence here in Kazakhstan is relatively low in comparison with other countries. So at that time, I thought about the connection between those two things, between the students' level of emotional intelligence and the quality of their relationships with teachers. That is why I decided to conduct my research to investigate that relationship between those two variables. So the purpose of my thesis is to examine the effect of students' level of emotional intelligence on teacher-student relationships in one Nazarbayev Intellectual School in Kazakhstan. And in order to achieve that purpose, quantitative research design is going to be conducted. So if I start talking about my accomplishments, so the first thing that I have already mentioned is the submission of my research proposal and the feedback that I have received from my professor. I think that now it plays such a value for me because that feedback that I received I use a lot when I start writing my first draft of the literature review, because that information and recommendations that the professor provided me with, I think that they give me some direction in the process of my literature review writing. The next thing which I did this summer is connected with the city program certificate. In July, I underwent that training and I received this certificate. And I want to mention that I underwent the full program, since my thesis is going to be focused on the students who are considered to be as a vulnerable population since they are under 18. The next thing which I did is connected with my literature review, since I have made up the whole structure of the literature review. I have read several resources on my topics, and by analyzing them, I have made the structure which I'm going to share with you later. And the final thing I can share with you is connected with analysis and synthesis of the resources. I can say that those are the skills that I have developed, and by this time in comparison with the previous year. And I wanted to say that I'm really thankful for my groupmates who helped me a lot last year, and for my professor Philip Montgomery, who taught us and helped us with the developing of those skills, and the results of them I'm going to share with you as well. So the first thing is the structure of my literature review. As you can see here in this slide, I've listed some important moments that I want to talk about in my literature review, and those ideas they only came up at the end of the reading process. So when I read several resources and I understood like some common ideas, I came with this structure, and so the whole literature review I'm going to write in that specific order. At this moment, I'm waiting for the feedback from my supervisor, who is going to comment on this specific structure, if I'm doing like the things right or wrong. And this is the example that I want to share with you, is connected with my skills of analyzing and synthesizing information. So as you can see here, I tried to combine like both those skills, and like when writing my literature review. So as you can see here, there is that like analyzing skill, as well as synthesizing some several studies that were conducted in that area. So I want to talk about the challenges as well. So the first thing that I guess most my group mates have already mentioned is connected with time management, since I feel that it is like at some point it is difficult to combine both working process and thesis writing, as well as some family issues, but I guess like I'm sure that I will be able to cope with them. I just need to learn how to manage my time more effectively. Another challenge is connected with a huge number of resources on my topic, like I mean on teacher-student relationships and on emotional intelligence. And like since I want to cover almost all of them, I spend too much time reading them and analyzing them. So maybe I need to be more like picky on what I'm going to read and to write about. The next thing is connected with the conceptual framework. So this is actually some like maybe area of knowledge which I'm not sure about. So the next week when we come to the intensive session, I'm going to have some individual conversation with my supervisor, because I'm not like really aware of what should I write about within my conceptual framework. And the last thing is connected with the credibility of the instruments that I'm going to use. So since I'm going to conduct a quantitative research, that is why I need to be sure that the instruments that I'm going to use to measure emotional intelligence and to measure teacher-student relationships, they're credible enough. So in order to have some credible results at the end. And this is what I need to investigate more, and to maybe to explore more studies on those instruments, and to read more resources devoted to those instruments. This is what I'm going to do in my future plans. Like this is what I have shared with you, my accomplishments, my thesis overview, some challenges that I have faced with, and my plans, how I'm going to overcome those challenges. Thank you for your attention. Goodbye.